Hello guys and welcome back. So in this video we're going to be working for the GUI because the GUI we have at this point doesn't really look like a calculator, and I'm just going to rerun it. Let's just show you what it looks like. Yeah, so this is what it was. It doesn't look like a calculator to me, not very much anyways, apart from the fact that it's made up of four sides and it's a rectangular shape. Nothing else really kind of fits in with a calculator. So let's get started off. So first of all, we're gonna go ahead and add more imports to our file because we're gonna start using more things and we're gonna start designing our app far more. So again, from pyqt5.qt core this time, we're gonna import qt from pyqt5 again. .qt widgets this time. We're gonna import qgrid layout. And now from pyqt5.qline edit. Uh, no, that's what we're going to import. We're gonna import qline edit, and from pyqt5.qt widgets, we're gonna import push button. Push button. And the last one is gonna be yeah, QV box layout. That's the one. From pyqt5 dot qt widgets. So we're gonna import qv box layout. So that's all of our imports done. We won't need any more until the end of the application, most likely. If we do need any more, we can always go back and import more. So let's get started off. What we're gonna do now is we're going to use a QV box layout for the calculator's general layout, and we'll also use the Q grid layout as well for the calculator of not so we're going to use the Q grid layout object to arrange the buttons in like a row and the columns, and then we're going to use the line edit for the display and the push button of course for the buttons. So now there should be 8 import statements at the top over here, and now we can go ahead and update the initializer for PyCalc UI. So we're just going to go ahead and add some more lines to this piece of code over here. So over here, right after this, what we're going to do is add on, I'm just going to remove this, yep. So we're going to say self dot general layout equals to QV box layout. And then so we added the QV box layout to place the display at the top, and now we're gonna add now we're gonna set the layout again. So self dot central widget dot set layout, and now we have our general layout. So self dot general layout dot general layout. Right, there we go. And now we're gonna add in our display. So we're going to create the display and the buttons. So for the display, we're going to have self dot create display, and then we're going to have self dot create buttons. Right, there we go. So we've created the calls to dot underscore create display and dot underscore create buttons, and they won't work right now because we haven't implemented these methods yet. So let's fix that by implementing some more code. So let's go ahead and make use of a Q line widget. And to do so, we're gonna go up here. Actually, thinking if we should make a new function inside PyCalc UI. Yeah, I think we should do that. So we're gonna say define create display and self, and now we're gonna say self dot display um self completed that self dot display equals to Q line edit, and then we say self dot display dot set fixed height, and that's gonna be 35, yeah, 35. And now after that we're gonna say yes, we need the alignment, so self dot display dot set alignment, and now here we're gonna say qt dot align right. So again, that's a really smart function given to us by qt that we can use really easily to make our applications. Self dot display dot set read only, and here we're going to say true because it is only just read only. So this is the display, and what we don't want to happen is that people can just change the display just by using the keyboard. And now the last thing is self dot general layout dot add widget, and self dot display. Alright, there we go. So over here, what we've done is we've set the display to a fixed height of 35 pixels. The display shows the text as left aligned, and the display is set to read only to avoid direct editing to our calculator display. So the last line adds the display to the calculator's general layout with general layout dot add widget, which is another function. Next, we'll implement the dot create button to create our buttons for our calculator, and we'll use a dictionary to hold each button's text and position on the grid. We'll also use the Q grid layout to arrange the buttons on the calculator's window, and the final code will look like and the final code will look like the finished the nearly finished PyQ5 calculator. So again, go ahead and create a new function. We'll do that after this. And here, let's go ahead, define a new function, and that's going to be create buttons. And here, we already get the self parameter by PyCharm's really intelligent autocomplete. And now here we're gonna have self dot buttons, and that's gonna be as I told you earlier, the dictionary, and the buttons layout equals to Q grid layout. Now we get in our buttons. So buttons are going to be a dictionary. So what we're going to say is we're going to go by numbers. So let's just start off with 7. So 7, that's going to be let's just pull up a calculator. Right, okay. So as you can see here, we've got the 7 first, and then we've got the 8, then the 9, and then we've got a times, and then we've got 4, 5, 6. So we start off with the 7, and then the 8, 9, and then our functions. So 7 is going to be, now as I said earlier, we give it the position on the grid layout, and that's going to be 0, 0. After this, we're going to have 8, which is going to be 0, 1, and then we have 9, which is going to be 1, 0, 2. Then now we should have, was it multiply or was it divide? I think it was divide, wasn't it? So divide, and then that's going to be 0, and then 3. And then we're going to have 0 to 3 is our divide. Oh yeah, the cancel button. That's next. That's going to be a C, and that's going to be 0 to 4. And then we're going to have our 4. So 4, 5, 6 are our next ones. And that's going to be, I think, yeah. So we've done these, and now we're on to 1. So it's going to be 1, and then 0. And then we're going to have 5 is 1, 2, and now we have over here, we need this bracket here, yeah, 6, going to be 1, 2, 7, oh, is 7 here? No, we've already had 7 up there. So now we're going to have the times button. And then we're going to have our bracket 1, which is going to be 2, and then I think that's 1, 2 and 1. Oh no, we're still carrying on with the first one. Forgot. Alright, okay, now that's the end of our first line. Now the second line. So over here we've got 3 lines. So first line up to there. Second line. Sorry, we've got 2 lines. Now we're going on to the third one. So that's going to be our number 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So number 1 is, and as you've probably already noticed, we're putting in our numbers as tuples. Not as, probably not as you would expect, because we're not putting it in as numbers, but we're putting them in as tuples. And then 2 is going to be 2 and 1. Now 3 is going to be 2 and 2. 4 is going to be 2 and 3. And now we have our, actually no, because 4's already been used. Yes, that was the error. It's gonna remove this key. After that, I'm just gonna get this back. Right, and now after the 3, we still have our plus. No, yeah, we still have our plus and minus, and equal to. Yeah, let's go with the minus for now. So minus is gonna be 2, 3, and then we have our other bracket, which is 2, 4, and then we have trying to remember this off by heart before we actually go in and get it. And we're gonna have a 0, and that's gonna be 3. Not 3.0, 3, 0. And now we will have, I'm just thinking, I think we might be one button short. On 3 we still have plus the point, the equal to. That's 3. Yeah, we are one button short. Okay, yeah, I know what we can do. We can just easily implement the double zero. Not necessarily the one that we'll probably be using in any calculator, but we can still have it in ours. And now the point, and then there's only just the plus and the equal to left. So 3, 2. Right, we're nearly done. Sorry for that, you guys had to wait a lot for my extremely slow typing. And now the last one is the equal to. And that's gonna be our 3 and 4. Yep. Right, so there we go. We have got our buttons. So now what we need to do is create the buttons and add them to the grid layout. So what to do that we're gonna do is this the right indent? Yes, it is. Right, so now the last thing, let's get this character going. Right, so now the last thing is the for loop. So we're gonna create the buttons and add them to the grid layout. And that's what we're gonna be doing right now. So button text and then position in buttons dot items. So it's gonna go ahead and get all of this from here, and after that, after it gets all of that, yeah, there you go. What's gonna happen is that we're gonna make a new variable first of all, self.buttons button text is equal to q push button or q push button and then button text. Right, there we go. And after that, we're gonna have self dot buttons again, and then in there we're gonna have button text point dot set fixed size. So again, we give it a fixed size of 35, oh no, 40 actually, because I remember giving 35 to the display. So we're gonna say this is 40. And now what we're gonna say is button yep, buttons layout dot add widget, and that's gonna be self dot buttons button text, and then position 1 and then position 2. Oh no, actually it's position 0 and then 1. As you should know, if you have some knowledge about Python, we start with numbers from 0, not 1. Right, so after we've done that, let's go ahead and just run this, see what happens. And nothing really happens yet, because what we need to do is one last thing, which is self dot general layout dot add layout, and that's going to be the buttons layout. Right, so let's go ahead and run this, and as you can see, all of our buttons are now here. They don't do anything, not yet anyways, but this is our GUI ready. What we're gonna do now is the one last thing, which is the display. So now the calculator's GUI can show the display and the buttons, but there's still no way to update the information that's shown in the display. So let's fix this by adding a few extra functions, and these functions will form the GUI public interface and complete the view class for our Python calculator. So just a few more functions. function 1 is going to be, just thinking, yeah, yeah, we need one function to set the display text, then we need one to display it, and then we need one to clear the display. So first of all, set display text, it's going to have the parameters of self, and then text, and then it's going to display text and self dot display dot set focus. Right, so we used dot set text to set and update the display's text, and then we used dot set focus to set the cursor's focus on the display. So it's easier to use a calculator. Now the other function is display text. So our display, and then it's gonna have return self dot display dot text. So there we go. And now we're just gonna add define clear display. So this is our last function to clear the display. And here we're just gonna set the display. So we're just gonna say it's gonna set it ourselves, and that's gonna be nothing. So set display text, and that's nothing. So if you run this, we shouldn't see any difference, not right now anyways. Yeah, no difference yet. But now all of our Python, all of our calculators GUI is ready. So now that we've completed this interface, if you try and do something, if you try and do any calculations right now, nothing's gonna happen because we haven't implemented the model or the controller, which is what we're going to be doing next. So we'll see you again in the next video when we'll create our basic controller, and we'll start with our controller and our model.